everyone. Welcome to the Travel Coach, moving body, mind, and spirit. My guest today is an artist, designer, and home styling consultant, founder of Shirley's Girl Design. She's originally from Canada, but living in Switzerland now for over 19 years. Her life-changing trip was 30 years ago when she decided to join her friend on a crazy backpacking adventure around Europe for 1 month, on a tiny budget and speaking only English. Anne Robley, welcome to the Travel Coach.
Hello. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you, Anne. I can't wait to hear more about this adventure. It sounds so fun. But first of all, I always ask people, because I'm interested to know, what's your relationship with travel growing up? What are your memories of this phase of your life?
We didn't really travel per se. Every time we had holidays, we would go to a relative's house. And they weren't far away. So it would be, I'm from Calgary, so it'd be like 3 hours north to Edmonton or to my cousins. But we often went camping, and we went camping in the Rockies. And now that I think about it, like millions of people from around the world go to Canada, to the Rocky Mountains to go camping. But we were like, oh, we're going camping again. But
yeah,
I guess
we don't appreciate what we have nearby sometimes.
Yeah. So that was, I think the first time I was on a plane, I was 17. Mm-hmm. And my mom took us to Disneyland after I graduated. So we went with her and my brother, my best friend, and yeah, we went to Disneyland. So we weren't big travelers per se.
So to get started with the story, I know everything started when you were going through a transition, a painful life transition. Yeah. It was your divorce. So how was Anne at that moment?
Miserable. I was angry, and I was hurt, and very angry, I would say, and very unsure of myself, and felt like a total failure. Not a lot of self-confidence. Like, it was just a really bad, very, very, very low part in time in my life. So, yeah.
So you were going through this painful transition, so we can understand these feelings. But before that, divorce itself, were also you felt this way, or who was the?
No, I didn't.
How would you describe?
I don't know. I wouldn't say boring. I didn't think I was boring. I'm not boring. I'm very funny. I've always been funny.
I know you are.
Thanks. I'll pay you later. No. I was very shy, and I wasn't very outgoing, unless I was drinking a lot, and then I was extremely outgoing. But if I was my normal self, I was very, very shy and withheld, and didn't feel comfortable alone. So if I would go out with a group of people, I didn't go into groups I didn't know unless I had someone with me that I knew. I guess unsure as well. So not very confident.
Okay. So you were invited to this crazy adventure, right? So who convinced you, and how you were convinced? What happened?
I don't know if she's listening. Her name is Beth Byer Tomelty, and she's actually now a travel agent.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But she loved traveling. She did all these crazy adventures on her own, like all alone throughout Asia and all over the place. And she's like, it's the best thing for you. You have to do it. It'll make your confidence better. And she was like you, but 30 years ago, before it was a concept, and just friend to friend. And so I got the time off work, and we went for, I can't remember, 1 or 2 months, but we went for quite a while to Portugal and Spain and France and Holland, and I think England as well. We started in England at a wedding. So
so funny.
We were all over.
I'm just trying to imagine, right? So this situation that you described felt very sad, felt miserable, felt failure. You just divorced. You were very young as well, right? And at that time, we are talking about late 80s.
can't even remember. But it was a,
So it's
what's the math?
divorce
It
was
was
different
it
by
was,
then as well,
it
right?
was
So it was
a long time
more
ago, yeah.
something
Yeah, the world
big
was
going on,
different. Yes.
right? So how how feeling, you know, that not feeling like doing anything, I suppose, right? And you came, your friend Behed, come on, let's go. How, what did you think? What you saw, what benefits, I suppose, is what I'm wondering. What did you see that this trip could actually provide you, that actually convince you to just get out of your bed, get out of your house, and go to this adventure just, you know, in the other side?
I'll introduce you to Beth one day, and you'll see. She's very, very, very enthusiastic. She's also really tough.
Okay.
I was never very tough, so she's like, "You're going to Europe." I was like, "Okay." But she also, I always admired her. She is tough still. We called her Tuffy. Sorry, Beth, if you're watching.
You know,
And
tell her.
and yeah, she just was fearless, and she did everything. And I always wanted to be like her. Like if we went out, like that was the person I wanted to be like. And so yeah, she told me it was a good idea, and I believed her, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So you saw that she had the feeling, the way she was feeling, the way her personality. You wanted more of that, right?
Yeah.
So you wanted to be
Yeah.
near by her. It gave you strength. It gave you maybe hope, positivity.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So you went and you traveled. You said I asked work days off and just went. So I suppose that it came some challenges, fears. I know you were saying here you had very tiny budget and no language.
Yeah.
What kind of fears you had to overcome? What came to your mind that, I don't know if any, but you think, I'm not sure about that? Or what was that?
Oh, always. I mean, I was fear. Fear was my main fallback. It's like I feared everything. You know, spiders, bears, people, like situations. I was always afraid. And when you get off an airport and you're carrying the stuff on your back, and we didn't have a plan. Like this is before, there was no TripAdvisor, there was no cell phones, there was no like Google, where should I stay? Like we literally got off, and people would be standing at the bus stations or the train stations with signs like pension or something like that, which, you knew meant a room. And you would just randomly pick somebody and go in their car and go to their place. Or you had what was his name? There was this famous guy that, like, the Travel Planet or whatever, the Lonely Planet, and like he always had places that you could go. So you just go to them and see if they had space, or if you could figure out the phone. But then they didn't speak English generally, so it was just, yeah, it was really really interesting. And some of the places were dodgy. And then you were afraid like everything was going to get taken, or you didn't know if you should leave stuff, or just because they weren't clean. But Portugal was actually very clean. We went camping there, actually. Back to my roots. we took a tent and we went camping. Yeah.
What helped you to overcome these fears or worries?
We needed a place to stay. You do what you have to.
You were there and just
we knew the town we wanted to go to, and there's a famous little beach where you could camp, and we knew we wanted to go there. So I mean, you had to find your way there. You had to find buses there, and you kind of hoped you were reading the bus time sign properly and the direction sign properly, and it was. But I mean, you had to. And same with eating. I mean, we did buy stuff in little supermercados, and then we would make our own little sandwiches and stuff. But I remember we were on the beach, because we're from the prairies, so there's like no seafood. And we're on the beach, and there's all these like little tiny, like teeny tiny little snail shells. And we're like, oh, they're so cute. And we're collecting snail shells, and we're going to take them home, and we're going to make snail shell things. And then we're carrying them around, and then we see that people have been eating them, and they all had little holes. We thought we'd make nice jewelry. But they take a toothpick and they stick it in the thing, they suck the snail out, and they chuck it. So we're picking up everyone's, basically their food garbage. We're like, oh, okay. We didn't make jewelry. We just
That's what happens when you go to different places, you see other culture, right? You don't eat
yeah,
these snails.
yeah.
You would not even thought that was eatable. That's so funny. So what was the first, well, I suppose it was easier because you said you were with Beth and she had more experience, and maybe also this gives you comfort and trust that everything was well, even if you had to go to these places that you had to adapt a bit out of the comfort, out of the comfort zone. What was the first country you went?
Portugal. Yeah. So we went to gosh, can I remember? Faro. We flew to Faro, and then we went down to Tivoli, I think, and then we backpacked around the Algarve up to Lisbon. And then when we got to Lisbon, we took a train over to Madrid and started new adventures. But it was just...
So from Portugal to Madrid, what was the country that, because I suppose if you've never been there before, when you arrive, and also we are talking about 30 years ago, so it was like you expected. What was the most shocking, what was your first thought, like when you arrived?
Definitely Madrid. That just how open and friendly everyone was. Like, we met this guy. We were, to be honest, we didn't know everything was actually closed on Sundays, and we happened to show up on like some saint festival. So like the Monday was also closed. Oh yeah, this is also before internet banking or like bank machines. They didn't have bank machines. So we had like the traveler's checks where you have to go into a bank physically and sign it and get money back.
Okay.
In the currency of the country that you're in. And this is
it's before the euro, yes. So you need to,
different. You had to do that in every country. And so we had no money, like none. And we had a credit card, I think, and someone told us we could go to the Hyatt or like one of the fancy hotels. So we're in Birkenstocks and we've been wearing the same clothes for days. And we've just been on a 10-hour train ride all squished in. Got our backpacks, we walk into the Hilton or whatever. We're like, can we change this? Like, traveler check. And he wasn't supposed to. I'm sure he's not working anymore. This is a long time ago. So he won't get in trouble. But he exchanged a little bit of it for us so that we could actually get a place to stay.
That was nice.
Yeah, and then because we didn't have any money, this is prior to going to the hotel, we had a credit card, but again, most things were closed except these little tapas bars, and we only had a credit card. And he's like, you can't use a credit card unless you get like a lot of tapas. And we're like, we're hungry. So we sat down and we just sat at the bar. We just ate tapas, and because we had to have a certain amount that he could charge the credit card. The next day we didn't know where to go, so we went to the same place, and he's standing in the bar. This is a bartender. He just, like, everyone's being cool, right? Like they're having a beer. They're like, everyone's like being all cool in Spanish, and white people walk in like pink white, like I am now. And he just holds up this enormous plate and he's like, again? Like, that's us. Everyone's all thin and fit.
So do you think the language was an issue, or did they speak English? I don't know how was the situation 30 years ago, but did you feel comfortable with the language?
It wasn't a problem. I mean, no, they didn't. Some people did. A lot of people did, but a lot of people don't. And often, because we were traveling, like we were staying in hostels or camping or like places where you meet other people, so someone would speak English and they would also speak the language very often. Say in Madrid, this guy on a bike just started talking to us randomly in very good English. He's Spanish, but very good English. And then he like gave us his car keys for the night. Like he took us to his house. He gave us his car keys. He's like, I got to work, but you can come visit me at work. And I still do not know how we found it, because we took his car and drove without a map, yes. And he's like, oh, you go down wherever. And we drove to this place where he was bartending, and we came in and gave him his car keys. And then he like introduced her.
The waiter give you the car, car keys for you to drive because he was working.
Yeah, so that we could come visit him at work. And so,
completely stranger.
Yeah, because we were at his house. He invited us to his house.
Okay,
And so we
so
were
you
in,
were sleeping at his house again.
yeah, and we didn't realize he was going to work. And then he goes, "Oh, I'm going to work here. Would you like to come later?" And we're like, "Sure." He's like, "Take my car." Okay. But I mean, it was just,
The level of trust, right?
yeah, and it was so nice. And then we walked in, and he was bartending in this place, and it was like all this flamenco music and pool tables, and everyone's smoking, and they're all like doing the flamenco beat on the park, smoking and playing pool. And he's like, "Hey," yeah, it was a crazy night. We met Juan, and Juan did not speak
Juan.
any English. Juan, yes. And he took us out the next day because Miguel had to work again. So he's like, "Juan, we'll show you around." Juan didn't speak any English and we didn't speak any Spanish. So we just walked around all day pointing at stuff and ended up, yeah, drinking beer and going to a movie because we could just sit there and be quiet and watch something. But it was fun. It was crazy.
What do you think was the thing that you most, the generosity of the people, the trust, that you were so welcome, right? So before your experience traveling, because you said when you were young, teenager, you didn't travel much, and what you actually realize, the fears and what actually is the reality, how this expands your mind, right? Or changes your belief or the way you see the world and you see other people.
Yeah, for sure. Because people are much kinder and nicer and better than you think. Like you always hear the word, especially now. Like, I mean, back then you didn't hear bad stuff so much. It was just that it was unknown, so it was scary. But I mean, now you hear like, "Oh, these people are bad and these people are bad," and people are people. Like they have they're nice, and a lot of times people were much kinder and nicer than I would be to people. Like it made me want to be a nicer person, especially if you meet people who are traveling or who need help, that you can be kind too, because yeah, it just shows you that it's, I don't know, it was just such a yeah, life-changing. Like you really realize that people are, for the most part, really good people, even if they're not, like, you don't agree with them or they're not doing something that like you think is right, but they're nice people, they're good people, they're not, people aren't out to hurt randomly. I mean, there are people, I'm sure, but in general, the majority,
the world is not as dangerous as they make us believe.
No.
When you experience it,
I think you make it more dangerous. Like if you go out expecting to find something horrible and you're looking for bad stuff and you're being closed, then I think you're going to attract it. But if you're going out, like we were so naive and just this wide-eyed sort of like we had no clue. We were just trying everything we could just to communicate and to get around, and I think people responded to that. So yeah,
totally. Wow. So what was the conclusion? Because you said you were like 1 month or something. After that, it was time to come back home, right? So you arrived to Canada back.
Yeah.
How was Anne after this experience? If you compare with the Anne before, what was the learnings, the benefits, the difference? Maybe people around you also noticed some change. Can you tell us about that?
I don't know if I had a fire under me. Like I wanted to travel. Then I just realized that there was so much to see that I hadn't seen, that I didn't know existed. And I just wanted more of it. I wanted more of that feeling and more of that. I guess when you're traveling, no one knows who you are. So there's no expectation of who you were, or, if you don't, I don't know how to explain it, but you have to be out of your comfort zone. Like even if you're shy, if you want a place food to eat, or if you want a place to sleep, or if you want to figure the bus out, you have to talk to people. You have to interact. You have to approach people that you don't know. And so it teaches you to get out of your head. But also at the same time, you don't have to be who people think you are, because they don't know you. I could hop on one foot and just go, "Hey, this is always how I walk." Like you could make anything up. I mean, not that I did, but it's like you want to be the best that you can be. So it's like you you show that's who you show. So it's a really, it's empowering.
Liberating.
Yes.
Yeah, liberating and
liberating.
pushes you out your comfort zone. It's what you were saying before. The need, you had to do it because you are not in your comfort. You have to for survival as well.
Yeah.
So it makes you grow. Okay, so after that trip, you travel a bit more. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I really did. I wanted to change my profession, which I kind of did. I was a dental assistant, and then I went to dental hygiene, which is, not a big leap. I wasn't that changed, but
That's a change, yeah.
Changed. It opened up more possibilities in the end. I sold my car. I went to Australia it was supposed to be for a year to travel around. But I had an emergency in the family, so I came back after 3 months. But even that, it's like I was miserable for the first 2 months. Like I did not like travel. I was totally alone, traveling on my own. I didn't like that. And I got myself into a lot of trouble because I just was not clever. But
You didn't like traveling alone because you compare it with the other experience with pet?
That, and I was still not in I don't know. It's just, and I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because I have lovely Australian friends, and I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to.
You didn't feel it was your place.
Didn't want to diss their country. Parts of it I liked, parts of it I didn't. Okay. But anyway, at the end, I met someone, and I lived in a car with her, and we traveled around, and I was having a blast. And then, when you do the once a week phone call with your parents, I had to go home. So.
Okay.
I could say I've been there, done that. But I knew I wanted to go back to Europe. That actually was a very big thing because Australia was too similar to Canada somehow.
Okay.
And I just remembered I loved Europe. I loved how different. I loved the oldness. I loved the history, the different languages. And it was something that I wanted to get back to. So. Yeah.
And now you live in Switzerland.
And now I live in Switzerland. I know.
What happened there?
Actually, it had nothing to do with travel. I was for love. I met a Swiss hockey player, and
a hockey player. Okay.
Yes, very Canadian. And then I moved to Switzerland, and we broke up. And I was so upset, and I was like really upset because I thought I thought that was it. I thought he was going to be the one after the last. So I'm crying and I'm phoning my mom and I'm like, oh, it's like we broke up, and I was, oh, and she's like, it's okay, things will work out. And she's like, oh, when are you coming back home? And I'm like, oh, and then I stopped crying. I'm like, I'm not coming back home, I'm staying. And then she was like, oh, she was crying and I'm like, it's okay. But anyway, she didn't want me to. She thought I would come home because it didn't work, but I didn't come home.
Wow. So you decided, so you were again in another breakup, right? In the same point that we started the conversation. But this time, you realized that actually you thought you moved there for the hockey player, but you wanted to be there more than in Canada.
Yeah. I love it here. There's many reasons, and it is a little tiny bit like Canada, like a mini Canada, in a way. But I just, again, you were free of who you were, so I could start all over. And in this case, I was in a smaller town, and I moved to a bigger town, and I met tons of people, and I went on all sorts of adventures and did things that I haven't done before, and and it was more extreme. Like I had to find jobs, and I had to learn a language, and I had to learn, like, there's a rule in Switzerland for everything. And I did it wrong the first time, almost always, and found out afterwards. So once you get the hang of that part, because it's like, I hate it here, I'm going to go home. And then it's like, oh, I love it here, I'm going to stay. And it kind of went like that for about 5 years. And then after 5 years.
It's change, right? At the beginning, it's not easy. But again, what kept you staying versus quitting and go back home? What was the power of this new environment, that you could be free of to be whoever you want, that you were saying? It was that?
Partly that, and partly I love it here. Like, I feel more at home here than I feel at home. Like, so I felt, I just feel like this is my, okay, this, when I say this, in southern France, if I move again, it'll be to the south of France. My husband's downstairs. I've got one this time. I think it worked. He's not so keen on it. But that would be my other, because that's another area that draws me. And that's really, there's something mystical about it that emotionally draws me to it. I don't know what it is. Maybe I end up there, maybe I don't.
Places have this thing, yeah? Places.
They do. Like, it's like it talks to me. It's crazy. It's not crazy. But here I feel very, I don't know, I'm just so comfortable. Like, this is really my happy place. And I go home, and even though I love it, and it's like, and like when I'm flying in, and you're flying over Canada, and I see I mean, I cry. I've got tears in my eyes. I'm like, oh, this is Canada. This is my, roots. And it's very emotional. But I'm there, and I'm seeing everybody, and I'm just like, I don't belong there. Like, I don't feel like I belong here. I really feel like I belong. So even though I'm not like a fluent, natural, Swiss German speaking person or anything like that, it's just how I feel. So it's yeah.
That's amazing that you found your place, and you have your family and your business and everything there set up.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow, Anne, you know that I love collecting hidden gems from all around the world. So you're not gonna escape until you share with us what is the hidden gem from your place, your country, your region that you want to share.
I would say the hidden gem from here, from Switzerland, would be Thun, and it's Thun. And that's the very first little village it's not a village, it's a town, that I lived in. And it's on Thunersee, and Interlaken is very famous. That's on one side of it, and everybody goes to Interlaken, and Thun is on the other side. And Thun is much, much prettier and quieter, and it's beautiful. It's got a church. It's got a, what do you call it? Like the medieval wall with the town inside of it, and it's got an old castle, and it's got torture things inside. It's a museum. You can go and see everything, and the lake is amazing, and good restaurants and good shopping, and it's just really, really, really nice.
Amazing.
And yeah.
I will check now on the internet. I never heard about it. I feel curious.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that. So before saying goodbye, can you share with us what would be the best way for people to contact you?
Probably on Instagram here. So it's shirleys.girl.interiors. And I will be changing my name to Shirley, just shirleys.girl soon, but not yet. So you can contact me and keep watching the space, because I'm going to be making decorations, so I'm switching it up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Beautiful decorations. I saw that in your website as well.
So thanks.
It's amazing. Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much for your time, for sharing your story with us. And everybody who is watching and listening, have a safe and happy travels.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Fun. Thank you very much.
Lots of love. Bye. Bye. Take care.
Thanks.